when I met Pat, DJology, we were working together at a warehouse.
Okay.
And he, they told me in his department that he made beats, and everybody knew me in that warehouse as an MC, and they know I made music, so they're like, okay, y'all gotta link up and do something or whatever. So me and him started at the same time, or around the same time. I think he met Ravi, and they kind of had their own music thing going on as well. And one day I think we were making a song, and I said I wanted to get a singer on the hook. I tried it, and I don't really got that great of a voice, right? So I said, I think I need somebody to sing this hook for me. And he was like, oh, I know the perfect person that could do that.
Okay.
So then she came by, and we all three made a song together, and it sounded good. People liked it. We were like, maybe we should keep this thing going. It turned into a group, and turned into touring and doing shows and stuff together. And, and they both play instruments. She plays trombone and sings very well, and he plays pretty much anything, primarily piano, but he plays a lot of different instruments.
Does he do anything with the guitar?
Yeah, he plays bass.
Yeah,
he plays a little bass. And then he's the tech guy. So he knows all this stuff better than I do.
Been into it for a while.
Engineering and stuff. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So he's got the blueprint.
All right.
He's got the blueprint, but not quite like you, sir. You have the most expertise out of all of us, which is why I was really excited to get you in the studio today.
Oh.
My grandfather. And go ahead and tell the people in the microphone what your full name is, Grandpa.
Okay, my name is Earl Saffold, and I'm visiting here with Nick Swain, and they assured me a great time, and feed me good, and the whole 9 yards. So I'm glad I'm here.
That's it.
Okay.
5-star Yelp review, right?
Okay.
All right. And let's take it back to the beginning, if you don't mind, Grandpa. Can you tell us where you're from?
You want where I was born at, or
yes, sir.
Where I live? My home is Lexington, Mississippi, where I originally discovered America, and I'm here now in Nick's home, and he's showing me around, and this is part of the invitation that I have, is to see his what you call this room?
Studio.
The studio, and I'm enjoying it. So.
Yes, sir. We're live here
in
Stone Mountain. What about? You say you're from Lexington. Let's talk a little bit about your upbringing and just family, right? So, what were your parents' names?
My parents, Joseph Saffold and Willie Mae Saffold McKinney. She was a McKinney for a maiden name, and there's been. I just tell my age. I was born in 1934. Which makes me about 90 years old and counting from there. Yeah. So I'm glad to be here to share this information with Nick and his family.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And for generations to come. What about your siblings? How many of you guys were there total?
Well, the sibling was about 14 of us, and I believe there was one miscarriage, and that has gone from 14 to 5.
Okay.
So quite a few of us not around anymore.
Wow.
And I happen to be the oldest living Saffold, and I have immediate family at this time.
Awesome.
And I'm 90. I've just turned 90 December 19th. 2024, is that right?
That's it.
Yeah, the new numbers, I forget how they line up now. I didn't practice on them much. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm retired from, my last job was the school board, and I'm retired from there since 1999. That's when I retired.
Awesome.
And I haven't painted, well, I did paint some, but for myself, but I haven't painted outside of that.
Really?
Since, yeah.
So what all did you do as a painter for the school board? What kind of projects were you working on?
We did inside, outside as well. Painting, I was in the scaffold up 5 stories high, and I also worked on the what we call the cherry picker. And I don't remember how high that was. That was high as it go. But that's what I did, inside and outside painting. And we did painting on the outside during the summer, and the wintertime we worked inside. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how long was your career there?
I was there 27 years. And that's when I pulled the pin. I had enough. In fact, we just got a raise, a $5 raise, and that's when I announced that I'm quitting. I'm retiring. In other words.
Wow.
You're gonna retire? You just got a $5 raise. Well, yes, but I'm done. I got my time in, and I'm gonna let somebody else have this spot. and I retired. I didn't get none of that big $5 money.
Hey, you said you was done at that point.
I'm done.
I can have it.
Yeah.
And let's see. So at that time you were living in Milwaukee, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you were a kid, did you have a vision to be a painter? Was that something you always thought that you would do, or did that kind of just opportunity spring up for you?
It just came up. Okay. The first job I had painting, there's a lady who wanted a room painted, and she asked me if I knew anybody that knew how to paint, and it wasn't me. My brother, the one that said he could paint it, and I helped him. That's how we got started. Oh. Yeah, I helped him paint, and I liked the result of painting because you look at it before you start, and then when you finish, it's such a big difference, and it happens right away. You don't have to wait 6 months to see how it's gonna look.
So you can see the effect that you had right then and there.
Right then and there, yeah.
And which brother was that?
Luther.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Luther.
Awesome. So taking it back before the school board, what was the first job that you ever had?
Okay, first job actually was at my home. That's when I was working in the fields. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know about factory jobs because there was no factory to learn from. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Milwaukee, then I started to look for jobs. I found a job, and I worked that, and I didn't like that because my first job I was making $1.49 an hour.
Whoa.
That wasn't bringing much bacon home.
Not even then. Huh?
Not even then. And I went from there. The next job, I got a job in the factory. I went from, what did I say, 149 to 264.
Okay.
And I thought that was a pretty good little lift there. And the next one I got from there was, there was 372.
Okay, so you were steadily going up. You was going in the right direction.
Yeah, in the right direction. And I always did that. Whenever I went to a place of work, I somehow moved up. Mm-hmm. And till I found a different job, and I finally got to this job with the school board, and that's the one I had been looking for all the time. I didn't know. They say, well, have you tried the school board? I didn't even know they had a school board. we had a school at home. There's one school in the midst of the county, and that was it. Everybody went to that school. Some had to walk 3 and 4 miles to get there.
How far did you have to walk?
3 miles.
Man.
Yeah. Every morning and back home every night.
That's interesting. And I want to get back to the schooling, because that is a very interesting topic. But before we do that, though, I do want to talk a little bit more about what you were saying, working in the fields. Can you just describe what that was like? You know, what time frame are we talking about? And just some of the conditions that you were going through at that time.
Well, yes, in the fields, I can't say how old I was when I started to work because I don't remember when I was too young to work. When I knew anything, I was here and I was working. I don't remember no practice time or downtime, and that's just how it worked. The skill in the field was the older one teaches the young ones. And Luther had a lot to do with me learning how to handle the stock and handle the equipment. In other words, handle the mule and the plow.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I got started. I must have been. I know I wasn't 10, because then nobody stay around waiting till you get 11 or 12 before you start the field. You was in the field early in life. Yeah. So that's how that all worked out.
Was it just you and your brothers, or were your sisters also involved in working in the field?
My sister was involved, not with the plows and the stock, the horses and that, but they did the chopping, what we call chopping, the hoe, and thinning out the corn or the cotton or whatever was needed to be thinned out.
Okay.
They did that part.
Gotcha. And was it just corn and cotton, or what all other produce did you guys?
It was corn and cotton was the main two entities that cotton was what we supposed to make money on, but somehow we didn't get to make it. The man got it instead of us. Yeah. But anyway, we started to field early, and we worked late, and that was the combination. You get up early, you go to bed late, and that's how it worked. Yeah. And it was always like with my sisters and some of the brothers that wasn't old enough to do with the stocks, they worked with chopping with the girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about with, if I'm not mistaken, you had a bit of a farm life as well, right, at that time?
Yes.
Just with animals and things like that?
Yes.
So how did that balance out? Were there certain siblings that worked in the field? Some people stayed home and worked with, the animals, or did you guys have to do both?
We had to do both. In the fields, the one that was old enough, those are the ones that worked with the stock and so on. The girls, they was afraid of the mules, the horses, the cows, and everything. It was kind of funny. The girls, the mules stomped their feet. When sometimes there was a mosquito biting on the leg, he'd stomp his feet to shake him off. They think he was kicking at them. They call.
So they wouldn't have had them part of that.
No, and all the mule was doing was getting the mosquito off it. So, but they never did master the stock, the livestock.
Wow.
They did milk the cows. Some of them did.
Okay.
They would milk.
Gotcha.
And so that's about the size of it in that area. But another version of the stock, we raised most of our stock. When I was big enough to remember, my father only had one mule. Well, the kids started coming, and after a while, one mule couldn't take it all. He needed some help. He bought a mule, and he bought one horse. And then the rest of it, we raised off of that horse, the colts and so on. And when I left home, 20 years later, we still had stock from that horse that he bought way back. And so and then we had to raise these new young colts. We had to raise them, and that lot fell to me.
Wow.
There was David, Luther, Gene, and myself. And I always wanted to be around the big boys. I wanted to help out with whatever they was doing. I wanted to learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one that would ride the mules. The first time we called it breaking them.
Okay.
And getting them used to how the bridle and the ropes and all that.
That sounds tough.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever get thrown off on one?
Did I? You bet.
A few more times than you like to recount, huh?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I remember you told me in the past that you had specific requirements, right, for the field work that you were doing. A certain amount that had to be picked for the day, correct?
Correct.
So what was that amount, if you remember?
Well, not so much as the amount, but the fields. Papa would say he wanted us to do the field in the corner. And we knew what that meant. We knew what that field were. And it was this much by so much. Mm-hmm. And so then I would tell Gene, because I don't know why he didn't tell Gene. He was the oldest, right. But he'd come and tell me. And then I'd tell Gene, and I'd nudge him, let's go do it. And we'd have the rest of the day off. Mm-hmm. So that's how that worked. But it was in another area was the cotton house bottom. We know where that was, and the sand bottom. We know. So that's how he would say he wanted the sand bottom taken care of, or the cotton house bottom, or the big bottom. That was covered the whole works. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we kind of broke it up. Well, when he told me he wanted us to get the corner bottom, I took 2 mules to field. I put the gears on one because I knew it was corn, see. And when the corn gets so high, the mules, they can't get no air down the way because it's kind of over your head, Mm-hmm. And when it's hot, and now you're going plowing through the corn, they will sweat, and if you didn't let them take a break, they'd pass out because it was too congested down low where they were. Mm-hmm. So I took two mules, and I tied one up here where he can graze, and I'm plowing the other one. When he gets wet with sweat, change him off. Otherwise, we have to wait. And waiting is not gaining no time here. So
I mean, that's the longer the day is going to be.
There you go. Yeah. So that's how that worked.
Okay.
But who would think about taking an extra mule along so that you can keep going, mm-hmm. changing off? Yeah.
So how long did you work like that in the fields until like what age would you say? Well,
I don't remember the age because that wasn't one thing that we kept up with, connecting with the fields. Mm-hmm. The connection were you get this bottom taken care of, and then you'll get the next field taken care of, and we'll go like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the workings as far as how the field systems were set up in regards to ownership? Like who was in charge of that land that you were working? Do you know that?
Yes, that was our land.
Okay.
That was my grandfather bought the place,
okay.
the land, and then my father was willed 100 acres, and that was ours, our private land.
Right, to work and profit off of how you needed to.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome that you guys had that much land.
Yeah.
I know your father must have been very proud to have all of you guys working and, doing that together as a family to help the family ultimately.
Yes. Well, it didn't say happen overnight. As we grew, we can work a little more of it, and more of it, and we finally got the max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was back to the schooling? Where was the time to go to school when you working these long days? You say you woke up early and went to bed late, right?
Yeah.
So where did school fall into line with all of that?
School fell in line when you got all the work in the field done. School started in September.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We very seldom got to start when the school opened. We was about a month after,
Okay.
because we cleaning the crops, gathering everything up. There wasn't much for the girls to do. They got to go to school, but we had to stay back and clear the land, the harvest and that.
Okay.
So.
And in school, do you remember how that was like set up? Like just to compare. I know like when I was in school, a lot of us, we were split up where you might have a certain amount of grades. Each grade had a certain amount of classes. And sometimes we would get up and change classrooms and things like that.
Okay.
What was kind of like the dynamic of your school experience? Was it like all just one room, or did you guys move around a lot?
No, we had the primary, we called it.
Okay.
And another name was pre-primer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went into first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade,
Okay.
and so on. It wasn't that many rooms. It was about three rooms.
Okay.
But you had these grades. They had so many benches for the first grade and so on. Excuse me. And the teachers. One teacher had like 3, sometimes 4 grades, especially the early ones, and so you had to divide it up. It was only 3 rooms. When you were in 6th, 7th, and 8th, it didn't go up but 8th grade. Went up to 8th grade, and one teacher would be teaching sometimes 2 and 3 grades in the early part, like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. One teacher have all those grades, and another one I have 3 or 4 more, and up to the 7th and 8th. Now those are just in one room, 7th and 8th grade, because it wasn't as many kids in that room as it were in, when they started.
Right.
Because a lot of them didn't finish. A lot of them didn't finish, and they had older guys, almost 20 years old, and they still haven't got out of 8th grade.
Really?
And what the principal would do, she'll just graduate them and let some new kids come in, because she says, you done been here 4 years, you haven't learned nothing, you ain't going to learn. So, here you go, here's your diploma.
You done had your time, huh?
Yeah, that's your time.
Make way for the new people, huh?
Right. And you didn't have that much space. See, wasn't no more space. The school ain't going to grow no more. Mm-hmm. So, you just about knew the kids that wasn't learning, like they should.
And did you guys have textbooks that you took home, or were they just like things that you kept in school?
We took them home.
You took them home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember I flunked the first time I started school. I flunked the pre-primer.
Really?
That's as low as you go. But what happened, the teacher, the principal, she wasn't teaching me but she was the principal of the school. The teacher that was directly involved, that was her first year starting school. She sounded so mean, and they said she was mean, but I found out later she really wasn't mean. She just had a high-pitched voice, and she looked like she was mean, because she sounded like she was mean. I thought she was going to whoop me.
Because back then the teachers would put you aside.
Yeah, that's right. You get a whooping. And then the word get home, you got a whooping. And now you got to say why you got it. So I'm going to give you a real whooping because you weren't supposed to be doing that or not doing whatever.
Ooh, he had a double up.
Yeah, that's the way it went. But what happened, I flunked because I was scared of the teacher, to be honest with you. I was afraid of the teacher because I thought every time she opened her mouth, it sounded like she was talking to me and she was going to get me next. But when I got ready to go after school closed, a lady told me, says, you take this book home with you, and when you come back to school, you better know this book. And I'll tell you, that was the first book.
Uh-huh.
And I got the next three books. I read them. I knew them by heart pretty much.
So she wasn't going to be able to come after you, huh?
No, she wasn't going to get me no more. I got on that thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's funny. So what were some experiences that you remember from school, like as far as with your classmates? Were you like a popular kid, you know? Were you kind of like shy to yourself? How did that go?
Well, I wasn't shy, really, but I wasn't a busybody when I'm into everything. Mm-hmm. I kind of stayed to my own self and did what I was supposed to do or told to do. Mm-hmm. That wasn't so with all the kids. Some of them, they got whoopings, and she'd whoop them every day sometimes. Mm-hmm. But no, I didn't get shy, but I wasn't afraid of the other kids either. One thing David told me, he says, when you get to school, some of them kids gonna be wanting to knock with you, and we call it boxing knocking.
Okay.
Said, don't get into it with none of them. And if that come up, you find me first. And I can tell you whether to get them or not. Because some of them kids were 3 and 4 years older than me. Because we were in the same grade, I thought we was all the same age. But he said, no, they're not all the same age. Some of them have been there for a while.
Rigorous.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. And the first time it happened, would you box him? Would you knock him? I said, I have to go and see what my brother says. Oh, he got some help. He wants some help. No, I wasn't asking for no help. David had told me, don't get into it with these guys because some of them 3 or 4 years older than me. So that make a big difference when you're that older than a person.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm starting out at 6. So he may be 8, 9, or 10 maybe, whatever.
Might have some size on you.
Yeah. So I wouldn't measure up to those guys. But if David tell me go get him, that's all I want to hear. And I'll go after him. Yeah.
All right.
One of the things, Nick, I'll tell you, there was a guy in our neighborhood was what you call them boxers when they train the real boxers.
I know what you mean. The like the coaches,
the coach or the spar guy.
Right. Like sparring trainer.
Right. He was one of those, and he had showed me how to use my hands and so forth, and most of the guys didn't have that little insight on how you ball your fists up and how to punch instead of swinging way back, coming around. Oops. And so he had showed me some things that I didn't forget. And when the time was right, I had a little insight because he had showed me how to use my hand. I used to ball my fists up like this. And he said, no, you can break these knuckles.
Right.
You may land a few.
You do more damage to yourself that way.
Yeah. He said, ball that fist up like this. And you hit with these knuckles. This set of knuckles ain't gonna break because you punching and instead of swinging. See, that can be blocked. The swinging can be blocked and give him a chance to to hit you instead of you hitting him.
So you took that expertise to school with you as well.
Took it to school with me, and I never forgot that. See, the guy's not going to teach you stuff if he sees that you're not carrying it out, you know. So I didn't forget it, and I didn't know exactly why, but most of the kids said I hit so hard. But see, I'm giving them that punch. Give them that punch.
That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid. So what about, Dad, can you do me a favor? Yeah. There's a charger on that wall right there for the laptop.
That's plugged in?
Yeah, can you pull that out and plug it into this laptop on the floor over here? I have another outlet on this wall that you could use. No, it's a white one. Was there another one on the wall?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Those are the little instruments you play? The little guitar? What do you call it?
Oh,
ukulele?
I fiddle on them. I fiddle on them just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. You see my collection over there. I try to dabble.
Okay.
But back to school. So what was the highest grade that you completed in school?
12.
12th grade?
Yeah.
Okay. And after you completed school, what did you do? Did you move right after you finished, or did you stay and work with your family?
It was shortly after I finished. David left home. There were some people in our community that went to Milwaukee and came back home in the summer and told David what was happening, how much money he can make, and so on. So that caught on. And every time somebody was of age when you got out of school, the next thing you was headed to Milwaukee or Chicago or wherever the goings were. That's where you were.
So your older brothers led the way for that?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so when my time come, and I always said that I should have stayed home another year or two because the next TL was the next one, and he wasn't old enough to really make decisions and what was best to do.
So you felt like you could have nurtured him a little bit more.
Right, until he learned what to do, and then Mama didn't know how to really lead out because we was doing it all up until we left. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's how that worked out.
We want to get a couple more questions in, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay.
Back to the grind.
Of course, I didn't get how much you're paying, but I know you're paying good. So
Right. We got that on the way.
Yeah.
Oh, Daddy, did you want me to open this piece of candy up for you? It has caramel on the inside.
Yeah, just let her wait till I finish.
All right.
Well, till I get off of work.
This might be your pay, right?
Wait till I get off of work.
Okay.
Do you need some water or anything?
I had some water. I don't know where I left my jug at. Oh, the one thing I didn't, you asked me about schooling. What was the grade that I finished? I didn't finish 12th down home. I did that after I got here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you stopped going to school in Mississippi and then picked it up when you got to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What caused that decision?
I wanted to catch this ride that's leaving Mississippi going to Milwaukee. I didn't want to miss that, so.
Going on to the next spot.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Sheila.
So what I was gonna ask you before we transition all the way to Milwaukee, I was just gonna ask you quickly about the swimming hole, right? That was a big pastime for you guys back then.
That was the pastime. Yeah, that was a biggie.
Gotcha.
We swam every day, and we liked it. So if we didn't have but a half an hour before time to go back to field, we took that half hour in the swimming hole.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just you and your family, right? That was something everybody got down with.
Well, see, we had a pond.
Okay.
We the only ones went there, for the most part. But we had a creek that was a swimming hole. Then that's when the community came in. They was from all over the place there. And it was a huge hole, big, And you probably have a little problem imagining this, but when we got there, and sometimes there'd be snakes swimming around out there. And we got them clothes off and jumped in there, and them snakes headed for the corner.
There wasn't no party, y'all.
No.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah.
And is that where you learned how to swim?
That's where I learned how to swim in the creek.
Got you.
Yeah.
So they just tossed you in one day, huh?
Well, they would tell you, and they told us, because that was I wasn't the only, young one or small one there. It was a bunch of boys. But what they would tell us, the big boys would say, if you can come down to the swimming hole, but you have to get in. We ain't got no spectators here. and if you didn't, they're going to catch you. The next thing you know, they're going to throw you out in the middle of that pond. If you swim or drown, we ain't come and get you. And it seemed like that's what they were going to do, let you drown. Man, we was drinking water, spitting water and everything.
That's funny. Hold on just a second. I think this is good.
Yeah.
Hello? Yes, this is he. Oh, awesome. I'm so sorry, man. I'm actually with my my grandfather right now. Is there any way I could call you back? Definitely. With this this 850 number, is this a good number, or do I need a separate one? Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, you too. Goodbye. Sorry about that.
And I was just looking at your grandmother's picture. I don't think I could have made a better decision than the one I made. And because it turned out that she was good inside and out. And that works good for me because a lot of things I didn't have to deal with, the acting up a wife and all that kind of stuff. So she was kind of bully in a way, but not the bad way. She had to take care of herself. She stayed by herself a lot. And so she learned how to take care of herself. When I came along, I wasn't one of those trying to be overbearing, and so it kind of blended. And I could see that coming. And I took some stuff that normally I may not have. But I think this is worth saving, so I'm going to bear around it. And I didn't fight back. I told her, no, I'm not going to fight with you in the day and sleep with you at night. That's not going to happen. Because I'll see to it, one of us ain't going to be here.
I know that's right. So we can settle our differences now.
Settle it now. Say what you like and don't like. And I can put up with a lot of stuff. But I don't like a whole lot of yakety-yak and, that kind of way.
That's awesome.
So after I saw that she had some good qualities, and I'm looking at the good qualities, and we can deal with the other ones as we go along. And we was engaged 1 year before we got married.
Wow. And where'd you guys meet?
I first met at church, really.
Okay. Well, that's a good start, right?
Yeah, that's a good start. I was trying to think of where did we meet.
I know you told me, I think one of your brothers told you about it?
Yeah. But see, I was thinking about the time that we went fishing. There was a fishing story in the obituary. Do you remember reading that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And to cut it short, I says I knew who I wanted, the Lord knew who I needed, and He placed it in my path, and I couldn't get around it. I tried to get around it, honoring that promise I made, and after a while I said, no, I can't. Every time I try to work something out and get around it, they're staring me right in the face. I gave in. I said, well, Lord, lead me, help me.
I know that's right.
And all the way to Mississippi. That's weighing heavy on me. I didn't know how I was going to handle that. And it came to me there, really. Just tell her you're engaged. And that really did the trick. It didn't satisfy her.
Right.
It made her angry and hurt, but
it was honest.
Yeah, it was a good decision. So that's how that all turned out.
Good. And how long were you married?
68 years.
68 years, Grandpa. That is so impressive, man.
A little before your time.
Oh, my
you
goodness.
Got here.
A little bit, man. Listen, y'all started the legacy, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though, for real. 68 years of marriage. What are some of the things that you learned from that time period? You know, I'm sure there's plenty of lessons along the way, but just some quick takeaways.
Well, finished learning her, and we met at my house. She was at my house. Okay. And I wasn't trying to overtake her or misuse her. I just wanted to talk. And we sat around the table talking about what we like and don't like, and she was a little bit snappy, so she would say some things, and I'm seeing right through what she's saying. And that's okay. I'll settle this on the other side of this conversation, different time.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we got through it. I let her know at that point, that day, that I don't like slaps. So don't slap me, because I have learned how to control reaction to a slap. And I have been slapped, man, to the max.
So you've been there before.
I've been there. And I say, the next woman slap me, she gonna get it. I ain't no nothing else, nothing outside of that. She gonna get it, because I'm coming back.
Well, that's good that y'all had that understanding.
Yeah.
There's no slaps on either side.
Right. She said, well, them little slaps I give you, those just love licks. I said, well, that may be, but you don't forget, I love you too, and I think I love you a little more than you love me. So I'm coming back. I can't hold back on them slaps. So
I know that's right.
Don't even think about it. And I told her, I said, and you can't whoop me. Don't even think about trying to whoop me.
Right.
I've been through too much. I ran this to her. I've been run over by a wagon. I've been thrown by a mule, and drugged behind the slide, and kicked by a cow. I said, don't try to whoop me.
You can't beat that.
I said, you're not made right to whoop me. I've been through too much. And just because I'm the stronger vessel, I'm not going to overpower you. So if you don't do it, it won't get done. And if you do it, I'm going to have to take over, because you're going to cause me to look the other way.
So you guys had a mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Man. And did you guys live in Milwaukee for your entire marriage?
Yes.
Wow.
We never moved out of Milwaukee. We talked about it, but we never did.
Okay.
Because my jobs never did line up with saving enough money to go somewhere. So that's kind of how that worked out.
Did you ever think about moving back to Mississippi?
She talked about it, but I didn't see moving back to Mississippi based on, I didn't see no jobs around there that was having. The biggest job was the city job, the garbage truck. That was about the biggest thing I could see that's going, and I didn't want that.
Right. And you got the ball rolling in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
So what What were some of the jobs that you did in Milwaukee leading up to working for the school board?
Oh, man, I had a whole bunch of them.
Really?
But I started at this box factory where I was making $1, what did I say, 49, I think.
Right.
$1.49. And I knew that wasn't going to hold. I got to do better than this. But this is something.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with that. And I got in a little trouble on that job. One of the boss guys was messing with me. And I told the big boss about it. He didn't do nothing about it. He just let this guy keep messing with me. And the machine that I was running, it was a box factory, like the pajamas and shoes and those kind of boxes. Not no real big boxes, but anyway, I found out if you put too many pieces in the machine, it would throw the belt off. And this guy that was messing with me, he always come around to clean up. and if you get in the right spot, and I kind of overload the machine, the belt comes off, and it's going to hit him. I figured that one out.
Said, I'm going to get you now.
Yeah, I'm going to get back at you. Because the segregation was still high. And when I did that, come off and hit this man. Well, it came under accident, but they still didn't like it because if it would have hit me from him, that would have been okay. Mm-hmm. But it went the other way. I got a note on my time card. Your service is no longer needed until further notice. And so I took the note off my time card, put it in my pocket. I worked the rest of that shift. This was when I first got to work. Mm-hmm. Everybody's gone. And that's the note, the message that I had. Mm-hmm. Now, he said, I'm signing up for unemployment because to me, that's laid off. Mm-hmm. You get a notice from the boss.
They're saying they don't want you no more.
No. And so they didn't want to pay me unemployment. And every time I kept on signing up. Every time I get a notice, it was something to do with unemployment that I wasn't qualified for. Mm-hmm. Okay, that wound up, I had to go to court for that. He's saying that he didn't know I was laid off. Now, you only had a dozen people working there, and how you going to have one laid off and you don't know about it?
Right.
Yeah. So I asked the unemployment guy, I said, what does this mean? He said, just keep on signing up. Just you sign up every week just like you've been doing. And somewhere down the line, it's going to come, these two things going to meet. You say you didn't, I say you did. Mm-hmm. And when it boiled down, we went to court. He gave his spiel, and I was all in the wrong. So then the judge asked me, said, do you have anything to say about what he just said about you? I said, I would just like to know who have, let's see, how did I say that? I'm not getting all the words right, but I wanted to know who had the authority to lay me off without his consent, and he was the boss. Mm-hmm. And so he asked the man, okay, well, who else? Because I knew that was his handwriting because he's been signing my checks every week. And he didn't have nobody he could point to. Because I know the handwriting when I see it. Mm-hmm. And this is his handwriting on the note. But see, he didn't think I was going to keep the note, see. Thought I was going to tear it up, throw it in the garbage or whatever.
So that was your evidence right there.
That was my evidence. And I gave that to the judge. He looked at it. he says, tell me whose signature is on this note here. He had to own it because, I mean, what else you going to do?
Mm-hmm. That's proof.
That's proof.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, you got to pay this man from now until, from back when the date was on that note, you got to pay him on up until this time now.
Come on.
And that was about, what, 3 or 4 months?
Oh, yeah. Good pay.
I had a nice little pile up there. Plus, you got to hire him if he wants to come back to work for you.
And did you want to go back to work there? No?
No.
Yeah, you figured it's already done at this point.
It's done.
Pay me and let's go on.
Yeah, because they were not going to leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to sit down and let this guy run over me.
That's smart.
Yeah. So I said, no, I don't want to work for him. So, okay, you got to pay him up until this date and leave him go.
Gotcha.
That's what I did.
Okay.
And in fact, I had got the other job before this all went down.
You was already lined up.
Yeah, I was already lined up, but I didn't tell them, the court, that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he told me. He said, you got to pay this man all the way up to here, retroactive back, and then go from there.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, in no uncertain terms, that I don't want to work for him no more.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get treated fair, and I don't want to go back there.
Gotcha. But that was a good day in court.
Yeah.
That was a good day in court. That makes me think of another question, and I'm just gonna ask some easy questions at this point. Starting with, just because you brought that court situation up, have you ever been arrested before?
No.
No.
I've never had no trouble with the law, except early part of life. I got a few speeding tickets.
Okay.
And it looked like every time I'm ready to go somewhere, it looked like they had me on the scope, and here they come.
They're waiting on it.
Yeah, they're waiting on me. And when I got from under that, I haven't had before then or after any problem. Good. In fact, I haven't had a ticket since 64.
Gotcha. Well, you stopped driving too, though, so you can't just claim the whole time now.
I stopped driving when?
Are you still driving right
now? No, but this had nothing to do with anything. This was like a health thing, what I'm not driving under now.
Right.
But I'm talking about...
From 64 onwards, it was clean record.
Clean record.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not, seeing as how it's 2024 right now, so that's a good, 60 years? 60 years, you're doing all right.
So
you're doing all right.
I must be doing something right somewhere along the line.
What about the military? Did you ever serve in the military?
Yeah.
What branch?
In the Army.
Okay.
I served in the Army.
How long?
And from 67 till... I get them dates mixed up now. I don't remember exactly when it were, but I put in 20 years, not 20 years, 14 years in the reserve after I got out of the Army.
Okay.
And I said 20, but I should have stayed to 20. That's what I was trying to say.
Gotcha.
I should have stayed to 20, and I could have drawn a pension from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're retired, right?
Yeah, that would be done kicked in now if I had stayed.
That's right.
Yeah.
What did you do in the military?
I did different things. I went in the infantry, and then I went in the medics. Mm-hmm. That's what I was in.
Gotcha.
And then when I don't forgot details on it, but I went from the medics to, what did I go to? It'd have to come back to me later on.
Do you know if you fought in any wars?
No,
okay.
I didn't fight in no war. The closest I got was they called us to fall out. We were going to go to Vietnam. And everybody fell out, bag and baggage. And then after a while, after about 2 hours or better, we got a call that we didn't have to go.
Wow. Okay.
Go back in.
Saved by the bell.
Yeah, and then that happened again later on in, I don't know how many months now, but it happened a second time.
Really?
The same thing. We got the call, we didn't have to go. We'd go back and unpack your bags and wait for the next call.
When you were packing, were you nervous?
No, it wasn't a nervous situation. We had heard about people going to Vietnam without the proper training, and you probably heard something about that too. But we didn't get all shook up and what have you about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. You was married. How many kids did you have?
Let me see. I know the first kid was 64.
Okay. Well, you don't gotta say when they were born, but I was just wondering, like in general, what's the total number?
I'm just trying to see.
If you can remember.
But see, you should have asked me some of these questions some years ago when I had that memory. I could just spit it out. And it don't work that way no more.
Right.
I got to think about it.
That's why we talking now. We trying to keep it going, right? They say if you don't use it, you lose it.
You lose it.
So
yeah.
we're using it now.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I wound up with 4 kids total. You know that. And as far as the military, I got out with honors, and no gigs on my military record. So I got out of that without any, marks on my discharge.
Good. And let's see, 4 kids, lived in Milwaukee the whole time, and you still live in Milwaukee now.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Quick question. Do you know your grandparents' names?
My father's side was, we call him Pop Burl.
Okay.
His name was Burley, and we call him Pop Burl. That was what we call him. Mm-hmm. His wife was named Mattie, and we call her Big Mama. Mm-hmm. So that's my father's side. Mm-hmm. My mother's side was Malachi, and my mother was Willa Mae. Saffold McKinney. That's where McKinney you've been hearing about.
Okay.
Came in on her side.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
that was 21, 13 and 5. That's 8, right? That's
in for 18.
18, that's what I mean, yeah. 18. And on my grandmother's side, my mother's side was 21.
Whew, kids. Oh my goodness.
Plus 4 sets of twins.
I just got tired hearing that, girl. 4 sets of twins.
Yeah.
My goodness.
How do you get that many kids?
Ooh, it's not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was something.
That's interesting. As far as your grandparents, both sides really. I'm just curious to know what you know about their lifestyle as far as what they did. Like were they born into slavery, or did they own property as well? How did that go?
They was right at the end of slavery.
Okay.
My father's father, we didn't know him. Mm-hmm. He passed before my father was married.
Papa Burl.
Yeah, he passed before he had any children. He had 5 of the first marriage. Okay. That lady died. And I think she died from childbirth. But she had 5 boys, and she passed away. He remarried, and that was 13 from that marriage.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Gotcha. And that was 3 boys, and the rest girls. There have been, 10 girls?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But so what did he? Do you know what he did for a living? Your grandfather?
He was a farmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He was a farmer.
So very similar to kind of like how you guys were raised, right?
Yes.
Working the field, working the land with the animals and things like that.
Yeah. Now he had, I think, on a place that was 200 plus acres, and he had 5 or 6 houses on that place.
Really?
And he was Mr. Charlie.
Okay.
You know, he rode around on a buggy and collect for the rent or whatever was to be done.
Wow.
And that was his job. He had hands working on his place.
Get out of here.
Yeah, before some of them kids was big enough to work.
Oh, wow.
He had hands working.
I wonder how he got that property. That's a lot. I mean, we're talking about like the 1800s, right? This is way, way back.
Yeah.
To have a lot of property as a black man in Mississippi, I'm assuming
Well,
that wasn't too easy to do.
Well, you had to kind of know somebody, and somebody had to kind of like you too, and the good folks I'm talking about. And all the ones that had property around there, they had the mark of white man. White man had to be part of that, reason why he was able to get it.
For sure.
And we looked through the families, and we knew everybody within, 20 miles or better, more than 20 miles. But anyway, that's how that all turned out.
Awesome. So, and what about your mother's parents? Did they have a similar farm background?
They had a farm background, but not as near as much as my father's side.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if we actually made it through the whole list. Can we name each of your brothers and sisters, all 14 of you guys? Can we just go through the name, starting from the oldest to the youngest?
You want to record it, or are you gonna?
Yeah, we're recording right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just for the record.
Okay, David, Mosetta, Luther, Evelyn, Eugene, Earl, Irene, Annie B, Brown, Geneva, TL, Lonnie, Ben, and Sandra.
Awesome.
If you count them, you ought to have around 14.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, okay, so we're getting to the end. I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I just want to ask you a couple quick questions about just your perspective today. At this point in your life, you're 90 years old, right?
Yeah.
Sure, you've learned a lot of things along the way. And I'm just curious how you feel about certain things that are going on today, as far as, let's just say, when we talk about things like friendship, like how would you say that's something that's important to you? Having people to support you and rely on.
Okay, friendship from what?
Just how you feel about friendship in general. Like, would you say that's something that's really not that big a deal, as long as you got family, or, like, have you had friends, like, your whole life that you, still try to keep in contact with, or just what your perspective is?
Oh, yeah. Well, friendship to me is very important. It's very important because it takes friendship to get along and get through this world like it is. And people that never had that with their neighbors or whoever it might have been, you're lacking something. And friendship is the way to go. What I remember, people used to, if they had a misfortune, say their bond burned down. The neighborhood would come together and they'd put that bond back up. And that the biggest cost would be whatever he had to pay for material to build a bond. The labor was there helping out. So if that come under friendship, that was very important. Because hardly nobody had enough to rebuild the bond by itself. But neighbor come, you hear about the bond born, and here they come.
Mm-hmm. What about on a personal level? Like, how would you describe yourself to somebody who doesn't know you?
I would say I'm generally speaking easy to get along with, and I reach out to people, and mainly because I saw my father doing that, reaching out to the widows and misfortune, because we always had food. I mean, potatoes and the garden produce, you name it, onions, cabbage, and beans. And my mother canned it, and knowing that she's going to be giving her away to somebody, because we had neighbors that didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they figured they're going to get through the winter without some canned food, because food didn't last out there in the garden. Mm-hmm. You had to harvest it and keep it dry. Say like sweet potatoes, onion, cabbage, that kind of thing. We had a keel for it, right out in the open. Mm-hmm. And you had to gather corn stalks to put it on a slant, and that makes the water run off of it. Mm-hmm. And as long as it don't get wet, it'll keep cold, don't hurt it.
That's it.
But if water get on it, it's heading the other way.
All right.
Yeah. And let me say, my mother was canning. She canned over 500 jars, and these are quart jars, of berries, blackberries.
Wow.
So we can make a blackberry pie.
No problem.
Every day. Yeah. And we had an orchard with peaches, apples, pears, you name it.
Wow.
We had it.
What kind of personality would you say your mother had?
She was outgoing.
Mm-hmm.
She was outgoing. In fact, one of her things were to go see about the sick.
Okay.
And for some reason, she took me with her more than she did anybody else. And people used to say, and I remember this well, Willie, why don't you bring some of those big boys with you? You out here at night, and you don't know who you're going to run into. And her answer would be, I'm comfortable with this one. Because she done saw me swing a stick. I could use that stick, Nick.
So you knew what you were doing with that.
I knew with that, yeah. I wish the man's hiding in the bush. I wish he would jump out. He gonna meet that stick. You gonna mess with my mama.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's good. That's good. What about your father? What was he doing while your mom was doing all the canning and stuff like that? Is he working outside?
He would be always working outside. He was looking at some trees that for firewood every fall we had to get in firewood. So that means cutting down some trees. And he would say, so-and-so place about here, how to know what tree he's talking about. Mm-hmm. And we'd go and get it and put that on the firewood list.
Gotcha.
And we took wood to other, we had widows and older people that couldn't go in the woods and get wood no more. Mm-hmm. They was past that in age. And people didn't, like, I'm 90 years old. I'm supposed to be just scuffling, trying to get across the floor. But they didn't live as long in those days. Mm. I remember Papa sent us up to our neighbor's house. He looked like it was a claw hammer or something that he wanted to need. And David and I went up there to get it. And he says to us, you know how old I am? I said, no, we didn't know. He said, I'm 44 years old. And I thought he was telling us he's going to be 65 and retired.
So time kind of treated him rough, huh?
I'm telling you. And that wasn't just him. That was the general throughout the community. Mm-hmm. they'd be old before time.
Wow. What do you think people live a little longer nowadays? Do you think technology has a lot to do with that?
Yeah, the technology and our people just didn't take care of themselves. They didn't know how. Yeah. They never had nobody to be concerned about them. They just worked and then fall over. Yeah.
I guess that's probably why your mom took it upon herself to, care for others and, be attentive to their health and things like that. I
suppose. I think one of the things, too, was her mother did that. Mm-hmm. Took some of them with her and see about older people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about your dad's personality? What do you remember about him?
Papa didn't do a lot of mixing and mingling with others. Mm-hmm. He was good at just sitting, say, 4 or 5 men would come by the house, and he would just sit in the midst and listen to them talk. They talking about cars and families, and if I had all these boys you got, Joseph, I would do this and do that. Papa would say, "Where's your land? You're talking about these boys. You got to have some land to, harness these boys. Where's your land?" He didn't have no land. But they always wanted to make little of him because he wasn't, popular as far as education and stuff. But when you hear him talk, they come to him and ask him what he think about some important stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, but he believed in helping people when they needed it, and that was his take.
That's good.
And he was a big guy, 6'4", 240. Wow. Wasn't no pushover.
Right.
And if you met him, you would think he was kind of mean because he looked a lot like his mother, and she was more like. She had some Indian in her some kind of way. Just long hair, and I didn't know her parents much. We knew about them. We heard the official, they had land, but they was a good ways away. It wasn't in the same community that we grew up in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And man, you just said something that made me think about a question. I just forgot that fast.
While you're thinking about it, the question was asked, what does my grandfather, because we never knew him, he passed before my father even married.
Right.
So we didn't get to know him. We asked the question, what did he look like? Because they didn't have a big picture of him. Mm-hmm. And she said, our grandmother told us this, he looks like John Wayne.
Everybody knew what he looked like.
Know what he looked like. So that means he was on the white side. Mm-hmm. And that's all we really knew about him.
Okay.
But he used to go around in the wagon and the buggy and check on the hands and see how they was doing and what they needed.
Okay.
And that's how when he passed, there was a balance on the land. I think it was $240 or $250, something like that. And we say, well, why couldn't you just pay that off? Yeah, it sounds easy, but if you owe $250 and you ain't got but $2 in your pocket, and the bill is due, hey, that's a lot.
Yeah, you got to break that down.
He told us that back in the day, you could buy land for 25 cents an acre. Well, that sounds like dirt cheap in there, right?
Right.
And we say, well, why didn't you buy up a whole lot of it? He said, I didn't have the quarter.
Hey, that's the simplest answer for you right there.
Right there.
I did it if I had it.
Yeah. Didn't have the quarter.
Between your parents, which one do you think you favor the most, as far as who you look like?
My father.
Yeah.
Mostly. They all used to say I look more like him than the rest of them.
Really?
But then Tommy came along some years later,
Mm-hmm.
and he just took that title. I didn't even. He didn't have to even run for it.
It was a unanimous decision.
Yeah,
huh?
just show up. You know.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
One time I know we talked about my grandmother a little bit, but I don't think just for the on the record. What is your wife's name?
What is her name?
Yeah.
Her maiden name was Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah, well, first name too. Just just to have on record.
Betty Jean
Mm-hmm.
Bowers. Bowers.
Gotcha.
Bowers, yeah.
And lastly, Grandpa, the last question I want to ask you is if you have any imparting or words to impart on, the next generation, my generation, those younger than me, just words of wisdom that you want to share.
You know, what I would like to see happen, and we talked about it a little bit the other day, I would like to see the younger people reaching for more than just the now. Mm-hmm. Look for the future. Mm-hmm. And I don't see enough of that going on. Seemingly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not looking in the right spot or...
No, you got it right. A lot of people are just focused on today.
Yeah, the now instead of the future. So that's what I would like to see. And in order to accomplish that, you can't wait until you retire and then start. You got to work on it, and as you go along. Mm-hmm. And that's mainly what I would like to see, because I know without it, you preparing for the future, it ain't gonna be much future.
Mm-hmm. So you gotta have that foresight, right?
Got to have it, and you gotta work it. It don't come, by wishing it.
That's good. Well,
there's a saying: wish in one hand and shit in the other one, and see which one gets full first.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah. You had heard that?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Okay.
That's new for me.
Yeah.
But I totally like that. Well, Grandpa, I appreciate you sitting down with me and just getting some of these stories. I know that you are full of different stories and just ultimate, words of wisdom. But I really do appreciate you just sitting down and giving us just a piece of that, and I want to continue doing this, honestly. But I knew it had to start somewhere. I'm glad we were able to at least crack the surface.
Yeah.
And like I said, get this recorded, because I feel like this is important to have, not just for myself, but just for the family records. You understand? Like there's letters and things that we have, pictures and things, but I think it's different to actually be able to hear your voice, you know, and your perspective on, just your life. And
okay, well, I appreciate it, and I'm glad that I'm the one can relate to you some things that history presents.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, it's important. But what I want to do now is I'm working on, let's call it a book. Mm-hmm. But it's not a book as the regular ordinary book. Mm-hmm. I want to record some things that happened to me and didn't happen to the rest of my family. I'm not talking about the community now. I'm talking about the 14. Mm-hmm. Out of the 14, the things that's happened to me have not happened to no one else in my family immediately. Right. And I want to get that out so somebody can know I've been here and this is what was accomplished.
Oh yeah.
Through the years.
And I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah.
I definitely want to help you in any way I can to get that done. You know, you see, we got the studio, we got the equipment.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we can do that no problem. And
Yeah.
put that together and make it really nice and impactful.
Well, I would like to do that, and maybe it might turn into more than what I'm thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back on my family, my aunts and uncles, we missed a ton of events and experiences that it just went to the grave because it never got talked about.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at this as a misfortune, and I want to do something about it from this point forward.
Definitely. I'm in the same line as you.
Okay.
I think that this is, when we have this type of technology that we can use to record our history and our own personal experiences. Like you said, you've been through things that nobody else has. Even being amongst 14 brothers and sisters, there's still things that only you know, that, and,
Right.
you tell it from your side of the story, which is, important. And I think that, by you doing that and recording it, I think that's going to inspire not only your brothers and sisters, but people underneath you as well to do the same thing, just like it's inspiring me to do right now. You know, like I'm planning on recording everybody in this household the same way I just did you.
Okay.
Because, one, like you said, we all have unique perspectives, so it's important to hear that perspective from the person telling it.
Yeah.
And two, time ain't promised.
No, it's
You know
not.
what I mean? I might not wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if I don't tell my story now, you know what I mean, then who's to say that I have another day to get it out,
And the other side of that coin is, if you don't tell it, there's nobody else can tell it like you can when you experience what you're telling. They may have heard it or read it in a book. It's not the same.
Exactly.
You had the experience, and that's what means a lot. Yeah.
Definitely. But thank you, Grandpa.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't want to cut you short. I'm glad that we was able to come together for this hour.
Definitely.